Hey everyone, what is up? Walang kukurapin Sir go-to guy Erwin. Today we're gonna talk about how you can climb ranks by split pushing turrets, knowing when to duel, crush your opponents, and carry games using Camille, the Steel Shadow. Winnovate Gaming. Camille's passive is Adaptive Defenses. Basic attacks will yield Camille a shield that is equal to a percentage of her maximum health against physical or magic damage, depending on which type was dealt more on Camille. This lasts for a brief duration. Her first skill is Precision Protocol, which empowers Camille's next attack and grants her bonus movement speed. Tactical Sweep is her second skill, where Camille lunges a kick in a cone-shaped area. Enemies in the outer half of the cone are slowed and take extra damage. The attack also heals Camille based on a percentage of the damage. Hookshot lets Camille clamp herself to a wall, leaping and knocking off enemy champions upon landing. Her ultimate is the Hextech Ultimatum. Camille dashes to an enemy champion and confines him within a hexagonal area for a brief moment. Her ultimate ends right away when Camille leaves the zone too soon. We have Casey playing as Camille against a Dr. Mundo from Diamond Division. Here we can see Casey starting his build off with Trinity Force as Camille's first core item. Her power definitely spikes when she's able to complete the Trinity Force, and the first significant change will be experienced the moment she acquires Sheen. Ninja Tabi is recommended for movement speed if your opponent up top is physical damage based, and Mercurial Treads is the better option on the other hand when you're up against an AP or magic damage based champion. Either way, you grant your boots a teleport and chant as your boot's final form to be able to help out in team fights, even when you're isolated the Baron lane or split pushing somewhere on the map. The next items of course are Death Stance, Stark's Gauge, and Guardian Angel. Situational items include Randuin's Omen to sustain damage from AD champions, and Spirit's Visage or Adaptive Helm if at least two opponents from the enemy team composition are AP champions. For Keystones, Casey would like to use Conqueror on Camille to suit his aggressive playstyle. Minor runes include Brutal to increase both your physical and magic damage, Hunter Titan to help you sustain more damage against enemy ganks and team fights, and finally, Sweet Tooth to help you sustain your lane better in the early game and to gain additional 20 gold per fruit. But Erwin, if that is the case, I'd rather use Mastermind as my slot 3 rune for Camille. Not only do I deal bonus damage to epic monsters and turrets, but I earn an additional 100 gold for taking down or assisting in taking down these objectives. Well, if you're comfortable using Camille and you think you can sustain damage in the early game just fine, then sure, you can go this route. I would still recommend Sweet Tooth, however, to new players and players who just want to play safe, primarily for the damage sustained. The second reason is that you get more gold with Sweet Tooth than with Mastermind. Wait, what? Mastermind gives 100 gold and Sweet Tooth gives 60 gold when you pop a honey fruit. But yes, there's a but. The first honey fruit spawns at the 45-second mark, and the next respawns 2 minutes after you pop the first. This translates to having earned 120 gold before you could possibly take a turret or assist in taking a turret down. Most games won't have the first turret taken down before the 5-minute mark, which means you could potentially consume at least 6 honey fruits. In other words, Sweet Tooth gives you more sustain and more gold in the early game. If you intend to play Jungle Camille, then by all means choose Mastermind. We see a lot of flashy Camille moves on different social media, but those are all that. Flashy. They're almost impractical to use in games, especially in ranked, though we're still gonna cover those who'll know which combos are effective to use and which ones are plainly illogical. Here's the most basic combo for Camille when laning. Here's a longer version of the first using her third skill to engage. To take initiative during team fights, start engaging with the enemy using hook shot and then using Camille's ultimate right after. Insert tactical sweep in between your hook shots to cancel its animation. You heal yourself more if you time the skill correctly and simultaneously deal more damage to the enemy. Add flash after your hook shots to ensure that enemies won't be able to react and the range of your hook shot gets extended even further. Word of warning, this combo is harder to execute compared to the other combos, but it will really pay off for sure once you're able to master it. Let's go into Camille's gameplay. Always make it a habit to hit with basic attacks to proc Conquer as much as possible. As a Baron lane Camille, your primary goals are to farm. Camille is the most mobile top laner in the game and she possesses one of the highest damage output of all the top lane champions, so I can't stress farming enough. Acquiring Trinity Force as soon as you can will grant you a huge power spike. Second is to not die or die less. Camille really sucks when she's behind on gold and experience. She also becomes underwhelming in teamfights, so simply not dying during the laning phase will make it quicker for Camille to purchase Trinity Force and stay impactful throughout the game. Focus on objectives. Split pushing is one of your roles that you should abuse whenever you can. In the laning phase, Camille has a significant advantage over Dr. Mundo, so you should be looking forward to trading decently. Usually, Camille has an advantage over Dr. Mundo even at level 1, but we can see here that Casey misses his hit 1 combo that causes him his first death. When you die in lane, make sure that you don't die again because when you do, it will be difficult for you to catch up in gold and experience.
They pay me to find problems and then dispose of them.
Keep the wave at bay. Keep your minions near your turret so that the position of your minions is always in your favor. If it keeps this rate up, Dr. Mundo will keep losing golden experience from minions and he will always be pressured by the thought of having potentially ganked by your jungle.
Behave yourself.
Continue to keep making trades every time your passive is up. Trade especially when the enemy is near the wall.
I am employed when negotiations fail. A sharp blade quickens the work. Enemy slain.
So by killing Dr. Mundo, Case is able to catch up. Now it just needs to probably clear the wave, then leave. But then he sees a level 3 cannon just as he reaches level 5. He might as well take this opportunity. He could still continue to eliminate minions right here, but Dr. Mundo's already alive and it will be wiser to just go back to the fountain, heal up, and purchase Sheen.
On my way. Danger. Danger. On my way. purity of form.
Casey continues to freeze the lane by last hitting minions. The first dragon spawns at the 4-minute mark, so until then, Casey has nothing to do but farm and sustain his lane.
Eye on the target. Get you. Violence is a means to
You are on a killing spree. Enemy slain. The dragon has spawned.
As soon as the first dragon spawns, it always is a good idea to secure the perimeter to ensure you capture it first before the enemy team does. Kudos to Lee Sin for helping out Orianna in carrying out a kill out of the unsuspecting Kennen. However, this is also supposedly the time to take down Drake that he and the duo on the bot lane failed to take advantage of.
Violence is a means to an end.
Enemy slain. Ally slain. On my way.
I am employed when negotiations fail. A sharp
Enemy slain.
eye on the target.
Slain.
They pay me to find problems and then dispose of them.
On my way.
A sharp order exists because of me. Beliefs, then swallow death. I am employed when negotiations fail.
Top turret is under attack.
Know your
The
place.
rift
As the Rift Herald spawns at the 6-minute mark, Casey goes out to the river to scout the area and look for any possibility of taking down the Herald. He does attempt at first, but leaves as soon as he spots Dr. Mundo approaching. Unless Camille has got Smite, it would be very risky for Camille to push through with the Rift Herald takedown. Now that Dr. Mundo decides to visit the mid lane, Casey takes advantage of his absence and pushes the Baron lane turret. Dr. Mundo and Kennen may have taken down Orianna, but this comes at the expense of Camille pushing for pressure at the Baron lane.
slain. On my way.
I am employed when negotiations fail.
Dr. Mundo eventually gets back to defend, but he makes the mistake of walking through the river and engage with Camille instead of taking this route to ensure his safety. Casey sees that he is half health near the wall, perfectly out of position, so he punishes Dr. Mundo for his blunder. He pops Ignite in between hits to guarantee that Dr. Mundo isn't able to regenerate himself with his ultimate.
Enemy turret destroyed. Attack the turret. Group. Attack the Rift Herald. On my way.
I am employed when negotiations
On
fail.
my way.
Then swallow death. I am target.
Enemy slain. Rampage.
A sharp blade quickens the work. Excellence is a trait you lack. A sharp blade quickens the work.
Attack the dragon. slain.
To the victor.
When you will be teleporting to a team fight, try to look for flanks or opportunities where you can attack the enemy backline.
Engage.
Get you.
Double kill. Unstoppable. You are unstoppable. Enemy slain.
A sharp blade. They pay me to find problems.
Killing spree. Enemy turret destroyed.
I'm on the toss. We need to gather my strength.
You can see that Camille may not have fully acquired all of her items just yet, but she has reached her power spike and can duel any of the champions from the enemy team. At this point, you should be aggressive with 1v1s. That doesn't mean to say that you're all that invincible and should always consider the time when you should back out from a fight. There are scenarios where you can fight against 2 opponents, but we'll be reserving that for a future video. And now I'll leave you here to enjoy the rest of the video, so if you've reached this far, I want to personally thank you for the support.
Dominating. Baron Nashor has spawned. Double kill. You triple kill. You are legendary. Unstoppable. Double kill.
Quickens the work.
Dominating. Ace. Enemy turret destroyed. Enemy turret destroyed. Enemy turret destroyed.
They pay me to find problems and then dispose of them.
Pure blood. Double kill. Legendary. Enemy slain. Ally slain. Shut down.
Fear sharpens every blade.
Enemy turret destroyed. Ally slain. Shut down. Ally slain. Enemy slain. You're legendary.
They pay me to find problems. Quickens the world. Behave yourself.
Slain. You have been slain. Shut down. The dragon has spawned. Ally slain. Ally slain. Shut down.
I am employed when negotiations fail.
Your team has slain the dragon.
Purity form, purity.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a comment, hit like and subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell to see more videos like this one. Until next time, once again, my name is Erwin, and I'm gonna see you in the next video.